Hi, I'm Tim Tuller, canon for music at St. John's Cathedral, with a couple words about the music for this Sunday, April 13th. This is a very important Sunday in the church year, as it's the beginning of Holy Week. It's also Palm Sunday, sometimes called Passion Sunday. And this Sunday, it's traditional here at St. John's that we do not have an organ postlude. So you'll notice at the end of the service this week, after our final hymn, there will be no organ postlude, as we instead quietly contemplate the events leading up to Jesus' crucifixion in the coming days. The prelude this Sunday is one of St. John's congregation's most requested pieces for Palm Sunday, I would say. It's simply entitled The Palms, and it's by the French composer Jean-Baptiste Fauré. Now, it's very important to note that Jean-Baptiste Fauré is an entirely different person and is entirely unrelated to the much more well-known French composer Gabriel Fauré, who wrote the Requiem and other very important pieces. Jean-Baptiste Fauré was primarily known as an operatic baritone in France. He lived from 1830 to 1914, and he was actually no relation to Gabriel Fauré, even though the two were active at basically exactly the same time in France. Jean-Baptiste, as I said, was primarily a performer. He was a greatly admired operatic baritone, and he wrote a few songs, of which The Palms has gone down as by far his most well-known. It has just an infectious melody. It's been arranged for all sorts of instruments and voice combinations and so forth. And it's a proud tradition we have of having this as our prelude each year for Palm Sunday here at St. John's. Our choir's offertory anthem this Sunday is also a very interesting piece. It's entitled The Holy City, and it's written by it's actually written by a British composer by the name of Michael Maybrick. However, he wrote under the pseudonym Stephen Adams, and he was active in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And this particular piece was published in 1892, and it immediately became very popular in both England and the United States. It's taken several forms, both as a solo and a choral piece, and is arranged for all different sorts of groups. And it uses words by Michael Maybrick, and it talks about Jesus' entry into Jerusalem, and it references passages from Isaiah. And the text is, of course, very, very directly related to the events happening on Palm Sunday in Scripture. And again, the tune is just incredibly catchy and infectious. In fact, I read that this piece was the most pirated piece of music possibly prior to the internet. It was so well known and so popular in the decades of the early 20th century. And the hymns this Sunday are also going to be very Lenten based, and we will be singing at the 10:30 service, "O Sacred Head Sore Wounded," hymn 168, which details the events of the Passion right before we have the Passion reading. I hope you enjoy the music this Sunday.